morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yes, it is Sunday night and it is time for another live stream. Now, tonight we're going to talk about CADEX, and we're going to talk about CADEX a lot because obviously I put out a video yesterday talking about the Protos, yesterday, I think it was Friday actually, about the upcoming Protos, which launches tomorrow, which is not only a new little ready-to-fly FPV drone from CADEX, but it's also a new FPV system from CADEX as well, and that in itself is incredibly interesting. But we then have to discuss what this means for Avatar HD, what it means for the existing system. Does it even mean anything at all? Sorry, Coke came up. Does it even mean anything at all for Avatar HD? And the truth is, we don't know. However, we're going to do a little bit of speculation, so we will talk about that. We are also going to be talking about a number of new products that's released this week. There's not this week, but a number of new products that I have spotted this week, I should say. We're going to talk about what appears to be the phenomenal Bambu P2S, and this is an incredibly interesting subject to me that is very close to my heart because I love the P1S, and what Bambu have done here is very, very interesting. I do have one, I believe, on the way. I was talking to my rep at Bambu on Saturday, and he's a great guy, and we were having a good old chat about a couple of things. And we'll talk about just where the P2S sits and how I don't even need to see it to tell you it is probably the go-to printer for most people today. It's as simple as that. Just like the P1S was, this is just the next iteration, the next improvement upon it. And it's interesting what they've actually done with it. And we were going to pick up from on anything else that's happened this week as well. I can see Fly High FPV is in the chat. He is peddling 04 ear units like a drug dealer. If you look at High Fly, he'll open his coat and he's got 04 ear units dangling down on one side and 04 Pro ear units dangling down from the other. And then when he bends over, a set of FPV goggles pop out of his backside. However, he is a guy who has 04 ear units. So if you're looking to get your fix for DJI 04, he is a man who can sort you out. Now, before we get into the main subjects, whilst I am discussing 04, I do have a video coming this week, an updated video on DJI and the current situation with regards to compatibility. And I do have a short that I've published, which I'm going to share with you guys in a minute, which I think is quite funny, if I'm honest. But yes, we do have an update compatibility video coming from DJI because obviously since I did my last compatibility video, we've now had the release of 04, 04 Pro, as well as the goggles N3. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really see what all the fuss is about with the DJI compatibility. I think it's fairly straightforward, and I'll show you how straightforward it is because you can explain the DJI compatibility in literally just under 2 minutes. I think it can be explained in about 2 minutes, and I'm going to prove to you that it can because I'm going to find the link and then I'm going to play it to you so you can decide for yourself if it can be explained in under 2 minutes. So let's go to the desktop. That's not the desktop. That is the desktop. We're going to turn on system audio. I'm going to mute my microphone and I'm going to play you how simple the DJI compatibility is. Explaining DJI's FPV compatibility in under 2 minutes. DJI goggles N3 are compatible with DJI 04, 04 Pro, as well as the Neo and Avtar 2 drones. N3 is not compatible with DJI 03 earlier air units such as Vista, Link, or the DJI FPV air unit, or earlier drones such as the FPV drone or the Avtar 1. When it comes to remote controller support, the DJI goggles N3 will only work with DJI Remote version 3 goggles 3. These are also compatible with DJI 04, 04 Pro, and DJI 03. They are not compatible though with DJI air units such as the air unit, Vista, and RunCam Link. They do work with the DJI Neo as well as the Avtar 2 drones and a couple of other off-the-shelf drones, but again, like the N3, the goggles 3 are not compatible with the FPV drone from DJI or the Avtar 1. Remote controller support on goggles 3 is exactly the same as the N3 and only works with the FPV Remote version 3. Next, we have the DJI goggles 2 and goggles Integra. These two are DJI's most compatible goggle, and they both work with the following: DJI 04, 04 Pro, DJI 03, and the original DJI air units. When using goggles 2 with 04 and 04 Pro, you are not able to use race mode and you are limited to 50 megabits a second. When using goggles 2 with the original air units, which is air unit, Vista, and RunCam Link, they must be on specific firmware version 01.01.0000. Earlier firmware versions on those air units do not work with these goggles. When it comes to drones, the goggles 2 are also compatible with the Avtar 2 as well as the Avtar 1, the DJI FPV drone, as well as a few others. However, the goggles 2 or Integra are not compatible with the Neo and likely never will be. When it comes to remote controller support, they are also only compatible with the FPV Remote version 2, so goggles 2 and Integra, FPV Remote version 2, goggles 3 and N3, FPV Remote version 3. Then we have the DJI goggles version 2, not goggles 2, goggles version 2. They released with the DJI FPV drone and are compatible with DJI 03 as well as the original air units and the DJI FPV drone, the Avtar 1, and a couple of others. The goggles version 2 can be used with the DJI FPV Remote 2, however, only with the 03 air unit. When using the version 2 goggles with the original air units, if you want to use the DJI Remote, it must be the big old black one, and you can't use it with the version 2 remote. Also, when it comes to firmware, if you're using air units with the version 2 goggles, it must be on firmware 01.00.0608 or earlier, because that 01.01.0000 is only for the goggles 2. Next, we then have the original DJI FPV goggles, which is only compatible with the original air unit, Vista, or RunCam Link, and again, must be on firmware version 01.00.0608 or earlier. When it comes to compatibility between all of the features, as I've said, using goggles 2 or Integra with 04, you don't get race mode and you don't get 60 megabits a second, you're limited to 50. When using 04 though on the goggles 3 and N3, you have all of that functionality available, but do take into account that the N3 are a fixed 60 Hz display, so they're never going to have as low latency as you can get on the goggles 3. Also, when it comes to OSD compatibility, everything is all over the place. So for instance, DJI goggles 2, goggles 3, and goggles N3 support MSP DisplayPort with a limited font set from DJI, although goggles 3 and N3 get the latest one, the goggles 2 not necessarily. However, you cannot use FPV-WTF on these goggles, but if you did want full FPV-WTF display, you can do that on the version 2 and version 1 goggles. That gives you the full OSD functionality, but that isn't available on 03, goggles 2, goggles 3, or goggles N3, and you're limited to the font set that DJI is giving you. Explaining DJI's FPV. Now, I don't see that this is that difficult. Now, the truth is, there is a full-size video on this coming, but I am going to put the short up because I think it's quite amusing to try and explain it in under 2 minutes. But yes, I do have an update video, and I managed to. It took about 4 or 5 attempts, but I managed to get that done, that summary at the end of the video done in one hit. And yes, I had to speed it up to get it under 2 minutes in total. Oh, my cup of tea has arrived. Here we go. But yes, it is a time where it's worth just doing an update on DJI because we have got 04 and everything, and I have a chart, but most people don't understand a chart. I still have a chart, and I have a big chart, but I have put a video together which is just it summarizes the situation as it is today, at least. Obviously, the chart will be wrong once the Neo 2 comes out, and the video will be wrong once the Neo 2 comes out anyway. But we're going to take a look at that. Whilst I'm on DJI, availability is still bad. You still can't really buy much, but you can. There is stuff appearing in the US. I also have this in my hands. For those who don't know what this is, it is from Neutron RC, and it allows you to hook up analog cameras to either the original DJI Air unit or the CADEX Vista RunCam Link. Now, this is an interesting board. It allows you to connect up to 4 cameras, in fact. It is wired for 4, but it allows you to use analog with DJI, which means thermal. Say hello, thermal. So, yeah, quite interesting. Haven't tried it yet. Looking forward to trying it. Obviously, it'll be limited to 720p. It'll be a little bit like that board that I showed with the HDMI input, but this one is specific for analog. Something I didn't realize is Neutron RC also have a HDMI input board as well. I seem to have missed all of this, but Neutron also have these other boards available too, which have HDMI. You can see there the analog input, and they also have a HDMI board somewhere. Let me just find it. I saw this on their website and I was like, I did not know they made that as well. There it is. So they also do the HDMI input board for DJI as well, which is quite handy. Will we get DJI O4E units from shell companies? I don't know. And the reason I say I don't know is it's worth remembering all of these shell companies that DJI have released products from so far are not compatible with the accessories from the official manufacturer. So even if you saw a Dog O4 Pro ear unit, a Dodge O4 Pro ear unit, that doesn't mean it will work with the current set of goggles, and you might need their goggles. So it will take a change in tact because it isn't quite as simple of DJI have made everything they've sold widely compatible, because they haven't. This is only for the old ear units, not for O3 or O4. This is only for the original ear unit, CADEX Vista, and it's the same with the HDMI board. So yeah, look, things with DJI are not really getting any better. We're still waiting on the Neo 2, and that's really where everything is in the DJI world right now. Meh. Pretty meh. Now, obviously, Dodge Goggles 3 soon. Yeah, exactly. Obviously, the big news this week is the upcoming launch of Protos plus Ascent. Protos being the drone and Ascent being CaddX's new FPV system. Now, this is interesting on many levels. I am not involved in the launch. I haven't been sent one. I will not be sent one from CaddX, I suspect. I don't believe we will work with CaddX on this channel anymore in the future. I think that relationship is over, so that is what it is. Whatever they do now, we will likely end up just buying moving forward. Sound is on for that, is it? Oh, there we go. We will end up buying moving forward. I don't really see a world where anything can change unless they start changing their behavior as well, because I can tell you now, I ain't changing what I fucking do. So that is pretty much where we're at from a CaddX as a company perspective. We obviously have the drone. These are renders. Remember, these are leaked offline. They were found on Google. They are renders because whoever did the render couldn't be bothered to swap the props around. The goggle is obviously based on the Goggle L from CaddX, and then they have a new remote controller which looks interesting, which we believe is based on Express ELRS. Well, it is based on Express ELRS. It's not we believe. I can tell you now it is based on Express ELRS. The drone, as I said in the video, is a cross between the DJI Neo, not really, more like the Defender 25 series from iFlight. That is really where this is being marketed as. It is an FPV drone. I believe it does not record on board. There is no onboard recording as far as I know. So it's a full FPV-centric drone. It comes with the drone, the goggles, and the remote, which are only compatible with this new system. So don't expect this to work with Goggles X, Goggles L. It is entirely new in itself. The drone itself, we don't know what firmware it's running. There seems to be some belief it's something like PX4. It's got optical flow. It isn't clear if the drone has GPS. We believe it's got optical flow, but GPS isn't confirmed as far as I've been able to see. As I've said, it has built-in optical flow. It uses a proprietary battery, not a standard battery. It isn't, as far as I've been able to tell, a smart battery. The charger will charge the battery, and the charger can actually discharge the battery into a storage state, but the battery itself doesn't appear to be able to do it. which I think is a slightly worrying situation, especially when it comes to having new users, because you can have a new user that will charge the battery, not put it in the cradle to discharge, and then you could have something go wrong. The remote controller is based around Express ELRS. I believe the drone can output up to 100 milliwatts of power maximum, which is the video RF power. It only supports the new goggles, and it is only a 60 frames a second system, up to a maximum of 20 megabits a second on the video as well. Now, pricing, Google says this kit is going to cost $359, which is incredibly aggressive. I believe it can fly acro. Someone said in the video Danny was able to put this into acro and punch up while the video feed was gone. Oh, you're talking about DJI. Okay, no, I'll talk about that in a minute. When it comes to this, it's using Express ELRS. It's got acro mode, and it's got some easy to fly modes as well, and it has that new behavior around the low signal. Now, there are a number of unanswered questions on this, GPS being one of them. A few other things that are quite interesting in the sense of it's more an FPV drone than a cinematic drone. Proprietary battery isn't great. It'll be interesting to see what the remote controller is like. Wes has just posted there. It'll be interesting to see what they've done with Express ELRS binding. I wonder if they have customized it with their own thing, or there's a binding phrase in there. I can probably tell you, Wes. I need to go and have a look at something. I'll let you know. I'm not saying I have a documentation, but I'll tell you. But it is running Express ELRS, and it is appearing to be a customized fork of Express ELRS. Now, what's interesting about this more than anything is the new FPV system, and Ascent, as CADEX are calling it there. As I've said already, Ascent is not compatible with Avatar HD. It is not compatible with any other systems. It's going to be brand new. I'm hearing very mixed things on it. If I am completely honest, I am hearing very, very mixed reports. But let's wait and see what it's like for real. Don't expect this to be a direct replacement for Avatar. Don't expect this to be something that everyone's going to want to run out and buy tomorrow. CADEX have said that they intend to release a VRX module in the future, maybe some new VTXs. This is the beginning of something new. It is not Avatar 2 or a replacement for Avatar. And, well, at least it isn't at this time. Now, Morton there said something interesting. Why are they doing this? It seems like they're hitting themselves by introducing compatibility. Well, that is the interesting question. Why are CADEX now introducing a new system? And we know over a year ago, CADEX said, we are working on Avatar 2. This is Avatar 2. In essence, this is Avatar 2, but it isn't even at the performance of Avatar yet. Something to take into account with Avatar is this. CADEX do not own the system they are using. Avatar is based around the Artisan AR-Link version 2 system, AR9201 chipset, which is loosely derived from WiMAX. CADEX built their system around this wireless system from Artisan. However, they do not own it. They do not control it. They are a customer of Artisan, just like half the world's phone manufacturers are a customer of Qualcomm, the other companies. But this is even more complicated because there are so few companies out there that do this. It is literally, it's artisan or nothing. Unless you're going to completely do what DJI did, and that is build your own. So, today, CADEX have Avatar based on the Gen 2 Artisan system. It's our pretty firm understanding that this new drone is based on the new AR-Link Gen 4, but that is a bit of a different beast in the first place because it isn't quite as off-the-shelf drop-in a chipset as the original system. It's more like DJI now, where they have separated off the microcontroller, the main video processing, and the RF side of things, and CADEX have now taken the RF side of things, and then they are now going to pair that with whatever smart chipset they want to, the video processing. So the thing to understand here is this. CADEX may not have a choice. The current system chipset was already old when they started to use it. We don't know what the availability of the current chipset is. Artisan don't sell to the open market. They don't sell to anyone. You can't just go and buy their chipsets and build your product. You have to work with them on the product that you're making. They only sell to very specific companies they've chosen to. And it's a very simple reality that the current chipset is going to end at some point. And if other companies have stopped using that chipset because of its age, it's possible that the cost of that chipset for CADEX is going up and up and up, but also it's possible that chipset is coming to an end as well. So the truth is, CADEX stepping into a new chipset is inevitable because that is what happens when you are a customer of another company. It is no different to HP or Dell building their laptops on the 50 series NVIDIA chipset, and then NVIDIA decide, hey, that's no longer available. You've now got to buy the 60 series. By the way, it's 20% more expensive, and we're only going to make it do this. The truth is this, CADEX are not in full control of their destiny. So it is not surprising that they are trying to make something new. This time, they're going back much further than they were with Avatar, but this could give them a great base to build from. I see nothing bad in their choices that they've done here so far. But my belief is for them to build in this new chipset, they're going to have to start further back than they started with Avatar and then work forward from there. So it could take a bit of time for CADEX to even get to the Avatar state of performance, let alone get to the performance of, say, DJI 03 or 04. As for what does it mean for Avatar HD, does this mean the end of this system? The truth is, we do not know. CADEX haven't said it is. If you want an opinion, I suspect this will phase out over the next 12-18 months. For all we know, though, Artisan have pulled the plug already and CADEX are burning through the chipsets they got. For all we know, the chipset will be available for the next 3 years. For all we know, Artisan will make it for as long as CADEX want it, but it's going to cost some money. The truth is, CADEX is not in full control of their destiny when it comes to what they're going to do. I do not blame CADEX in any way for the lack of compatibility here. This is the result of you not owning the system. Even when you own the system like DJI, compatibility isn't always straightforward. There are hardware reasons some things are not always compatible. We can't always expect everything to work. But in CADEX's case, they're a customer going into the market, buying a product and trying to develop around it. And as a result of that, they are within the walled garden of the company they're buying the chipset from. And the truth is, they really don't have a lot of options. Cool Core, which is Artisan, are pretty much one of the only main options they're going to be able to choose. There are not a lot of choices out there for this stuff. Unless you build it yourself like DJI has, you sort of stuff, or HD Zero has, you're sort of stuffed. There really isn't a lot of choice. These guys' chipsets are used in loads of low-cost drones, loads and loads of them. You know, this is the AR chipset, the 8032. This is what you should expect to see in the new VTX or on the new VTX. This number will be different, but you will see it is this chipset. This is the main path of the chipset, just as a basic overview. You're going to have your main video SoC, and literally they can use whatever video processing SoC that runs Linux they want. And then you've got your new chipset running RISC-V core with the baseband and then the transceiver. I am still highly suspicious this can only do 2 antennas. It'll be interesting to see what's in these new goggles, whether there's dual or quad antennas. That is going to be a very interesting one to take a look at. This chipset can be found in all sorts. I'm just trying to find an image I've got here. No, not there. Let me just find it. This chipset has turned up in all sorts. You can see it here in the board for one of the cheap drones, the Protos. Yeah, dual antennas. This is it here. You will see this chipset appear in all sorts of products. This is one of the FCC ones where the chipset was fully labeled. This is an image of the same chipset from a production model. They mask it like this so people don't really know what they had. Yeah, so look, as for what does this mean, it's unknown. Don't be surprised if Avatar starts getting phased out, but don't be surprised if it's still here in 2 years' time. Someone has just said, fair, but they've had, what, years trying to come up with Avatar 2? Do you think they'd see the writing on the wall and would have spent this time figuring out? I think you're underestimating how hard this is. This is incredibly hard to do. And what we don't know is just how much help CADEX had from Artisan the first time. We just don't know how much help they had the first time. So, the new thing has great potential. Massive potential. Huge potential. But I think they have to start at the beginning, and that's why you're seeing Ascent as it is. The real question is, can CADEX deliver on that potential? Let's get real here. And here's one reason I'm probably never going to end up working with CADEX again. CADEX are a company you cannot trust. They are a company who have lied time and time again. They are a company who has been proven to be deceptive at times. I've been on the receiving end of how deceptive they can be, whether it be, hey, we heard you, we're working on MSP OSD, whether it be, hey, we don't like what you said in that video and we're thinking about taking legal action, or hey, we're working on Avatar 2, hey, it's going to have 4 times the range. CADEX are known for gaslighting, they are known for being deceptive, and as a result of that, you simply cannot trust them. And as a result of that, we are always left with this nasty taste in our mouth when it comes to what CADEX is going to deliver. But being fair, they have done more than anyone else in the market to bring the fight to HD, DJI HD, FPV. No one else has brought the fight to DJI quite like CADEX, and we should not thank them because they're making money. But we should say how well they've done with Avatar. It certainly isn't perfect. It certainly wasn't finished. They do, though, deliver a product that offers more than DJI want to give. Truth is, if you want a two-way digital FPV link, Avatar HD has multiple VTX options, multiple cam options, gimbal support. They have some great products. The GM series and gimbal integration is really nice. It works tidily. But there's always this but or gotcha with CADEX a little bit that is driven by the marketing side. I think it's entirely driven by the marketing side, and that is what leads the nasty taste in our mouth. And they don't understand what they do to get themselves in this position and get themselves called deceptive like I have there. Do I trust CADEX to deliver on a product? Yes. But do I trust what they've said will be that product? No. And that is the problem with CADEX. But look, here and now, this is all good. This is more options. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where this develops. We shouldn't poo-poo. You certainly shouldn't poo-poo a poo-poo, because if you poo-poo a poo-poo, then we will all be poo-pooed and we'll all be in poo-poo. However, we shouldn't shoot down something that has potential. It's just on them now to deliver on that, and there will be no one more pleased than me if CADEX do deliver on it. And that's the truth. Okay, catching up on did you see Hawkeye apparently has a new HD system too? Yeah, I did see them mention who would be interested in a new digital FPV system. They have they given out any more info? I don't know if they have. They mentioned some stuff. What about hardware to remove any walled gardens? Like decent price, but kind of stuck with it without buying cheap and getting FX translator. Makes you think what the new Insta360 drone is using. I suspect it will either be this chipset or they're using Wi-Fi. Don't be surprised if the Insta360 drone isn't using either the same artisan chipset or Wi-Fi. There aren't many options out there. I can tell you now, when it comes to doing this, there really are not a lot of options. I bet Insta360 are using Wi-Fi, if I'm honest. Uncertainty of obtaining HD hardware in the future without buying new goggles VTX makes me seriously consider going back to analog. Yeah, I flew analog today. I'm not sure I'll ever go back to analog. Any hope for other non-DJI digital moving forward? Look, there's always hope. Could someone do it? Yes, CADEX did it. So it's doable, but it's going to take a lot of money. And again, it's going to take a huge amount of development on something you may not own. Hello, Tom. How are you? We need them in the game and they need us by buying their kits. It's symbiotic relationship. I agree. Look, I am critical of CADEX because of their behavior. I'm critical of DJI. We all know what I say about DJI. You know, there's no love here for the company. Yeah, it's hard to know how much they borrowed the first time and how much of that expertise they still have access to. Agreed. That is unknown. They posted footage from the system. Has anyone got a link? Have you got a link to that, Madders Hatter? Hello, Jake. Great review of the Hover X wrong. I'm putting yours out next week and get it edited. Nice. Yeah, quite good. I had to re-upload that video. For anyone who saw it, I'll talk about that in a minute. That's cool. Wi-Fi sadness. So, that's where we're at with CADEX. We don't know what it means for Avatar HD. It's on their Instagram. Okay, we will find that and have a look. The truth is, we just don't know what is coming from anyone else. We don't know what CADEX are going to do. Let's give them some time. I also will say this. If Avatar HD ended tomorrow, it would be very hard to be very critical of them if they turned around and said, we don't have a choice because it's no longer available. The truth is, there was always a risk with CADEX that because they don't own the system, that could get them into trouble. But look, let's wait and see. Where we can be critical of them is for what they promised that they didn't deliver. Remember the upgrade board for the Goggles X? You know, but look, CADEX delivered the Goggles X. It's a very good goggle. Let's be honest, it's a good goggle. They can do that. Let's see where it goes. I just don't trust anything they say. But we have to be fair. Don't think, even if you see total garbage tomorrow, don't think that's where it's always going to be. Okay. There has also been talk of a digital FPV system from Hawkeye. And they've got a post on you. I'm guessing it's this post here. They put something up talking about who would like to see digital. Hawkeye HD transmission, analog 600 milliwatts. So, it seems that Hawkeye are working on a digital transmission system. Can I make this bigger on Instagram or not? I can see roll-in compression. I'm suspicious this is something like OpenIPC already. And I can tell you why. I am seeing something in the footage. Can I make this full screen? Let's just have a look. I'm just looking closely. Maybe not. A lot of mush down here and here. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. So in the latency, they say enough for FPV. 30 to 45 milliseconds camera to goggles display. I suspect that's 60 frames a second. I'd be suspicious this is some form of Wi-Fi link. Maybe even similar to what was being done by that other system I reviewed. Someone asked, I wonder what Insta are doing. I suspect Insta360 will either be using Wi-Fi or they'll be using something based off the Artisan. I have a drone here that uses the Artisan system, which I'm in the middle of reviewing, and there is no question the Artisan system can deliver, if tuned. Okay, well, it's interesting. There is something obviously new coming from Hawkeye. As someone did rightly say, they usually do budget. I'm suspicious it's Wi-Fi based. Yeah, the T3 system. I couldn't think what it was called a second. Hawkeye HD transmission. If I was suspicious, it would be OpenIPC based. Are you using WFBNG? No, bro. Interesting. Someone asked that there, look. Are you using FPV-WNG? And they've said no. Okay. Okay. That gets a bit more spicy. Okay. Hey. Perhaps we have something new. Interesting. No, bro. Yeah, I like the reply. I know they put a post up, but I didn't see they'd posted a video. Some fisheye on that lens, isn't there? Look at this one compared to that one. Jesus. Interesting. Interesting indeed. For all we know, it's the CADEX system. For all we know, you're about to see a bunch of digital systems hit the market based on the same thing. Anything could happen. Here's something we don't know. For all we know, CADEX haven't developed this at all, and they're about to see a bunch of these digital systems hit the market. We just don't know. We just don't know. We've seen stuff like this happen before, haven't we? So whilst so that's where we're at with CADEX. Look, launch tomorrow. I'll be watching the videos myself. Stu will have a video, I think. I don't know about the biggies, Bardwell. I know a few people who've got them, which I won't say. I don't know what people are going to be doing. I suspect all the videos will hit tomorrow, and then we'll have a better understanding of what this is all about. Then I'll get my hands on it. I'll dump the ROM. And then we'll have a look at what's really going on. And changed it 1 byte, so technically we can say that. Yeah, there is that. You have zero info from CADEX. I didn't even know it's releasing. I believe half the people didn't even get a manual, is my understanding. Just to show you guys something before we move on. I found an SD card. I'm still finishing the video with the night cameras. It's been quite a video to do, actually, and I'm not even happy with half of how it's come out. It's going to be a video I'm a bit unhappy with overall, if I'm honest. It's not coming together well. But it will be done and it will be published. I've just got to fly the gazer. Sorry, I need someone to leave an SD card with the gazer footage on. However, I did find an SD card with the IR2 camera on, for those who are interested. So this is the CADEX IR version 2. I'm not going to bother flying with the version 1 because you can't buy it now anyway. Now, apparently, I was told this was done in complete darkness, so it gives you an idea of how this camera will look in total darkness. This just gives you an idea of what kind of view you get in total darkness. These cameras, obviously, in streets and low light will actually look okay, but this is the kind of view you get from it in the darkness. Below this is black. Obviously, you've got light. Interestingly, the IR version 2 does not do well when it's mixed with light and dark. It exposes out, you can see there, quite a lot. It doesn't do a good job trying to differentiate between the two, and the exposure struggles to control the image between the two. You can certainly fly in the dark, that I will say. It's quite challenging, apparently. It's hard to judge your altitude in complete darkness. You can see the ground below there, but it is very hard to judge just how high you are at times. You obviously wouldn't trust it with regards to trees and bushes. But it certainly is flyable. I wouldn't call it a quad camera in total darkness. It has a purpose. I think we all know what the purpose is. Like, you can see there, you can see the bushes, you can see the ground. But like, I'm quite low here, and you'll see in a minute, I'll come lower. And it's hard to get, like, it's hard to get a judge of just how close you are to the ground. Flying apparently is quite challenging in these scenarios. Even there, you can see the grass, and you can see it. And look, there's a good view of buildings and stuff like that. It's pretty good. What would it be like without all the ambient city light? I think it still needs light. At the end of the day, it's a camera sensor. It still needs light. Without any light at all, it's just not going to work. You know, there's, like, when it's low level down in here, there is no ambient light. Looking around, it's pretty dark. It's still a camera sensor at the end of the day. It's not thermal. This is the CADEX Infra. This is the CADEX Infra version 2. You always have to have some light. You can't have no light. There is a thermal one. Yes, CADEX have a thermal one. It still has to have some light. It's not possible for the sensor to pick up nothing. It's not a thermal sensor. It is an it's still a camera sensor. So it needs some light. To give you idea here, this bottom of the image is black. There is no light here at all. You can see there's a little bit, but when it comes to here, oh yeah, you could put an IR emitter on it and it's gonna help. These sensors still need some light to be able to pick up. It's based off infrared. It needs some form of IR light. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. You know, it gives you an idea. Yeah, it's going to pick some stuff up, but it needs something. It needs IR. You know, it's not capable of generating light. It's not a thermal camera. It needs something to be emitting IR light. So even in a completely black room, there is something in that room emitting IR light. Yeah, you know, it's physics at this point with these sensors. IR LED strip on them. You know, you need something to pick up something on it. It does look like it gives... Yeah, look, it definitely does. You're definitely seeing... You know, you're definitely getting more detail. That's for sure. How does it look in the day? Just grey. That camera in daylight. In the daylight, there's some footage of the daylight here somewhere. That's that camera in daylight there. That's it in bright daylight. It's quite noisy in the daylight. So that's just bright daylight. Yeah, it looks like 1920s. Actually, interesting. Yeah. We go to... There you go. There you go. That's me standing in front of it in the daylight. So that gives you the kind of image you can get out of it in the bright day. You got plenty of detail in the day. You know, there's no issues with that. Just to give you an idea, one last bit I'll show you. Is it which one of these is it? So it'll be one of these. This is what it looks like with a drive. Okay, so this is at night from the car out the window. I'm sorry for the shaking around, but I was trying to hold it. This gives you an idea of what it looks like. Obviously, you've got some light off the car lights. You've got them there, so you've got IR on that. You've got the light off the bushes, but it just gives you an indication in sort of in-city use, in town use, the kind of view you can get from the camera. You know, it's a solid black and white camera. I wasn't driving, by the way. You know, in good light, it's not a bad camera. Yeah, dog view. Yeah. If anyone's tried holding a camera out a window of a car, it's not particularly easy. So you can see here, and this is just switching. This is the IR version 2, actually. That was the version 1, the first bit of footage you just saw. This is the version 2. So again, I'm switching between the version 1 and version 2 there. So in good light, they're okay. You know, they're pretty good. Pretty good. This is the gazer. Just to give you an idea what the gazer was like. Gazer night mode is weird. It doesn't do... It's not great. Just for those who are interested. Quite a lot of noise in the gazer. What I would say is I don't think any of these are quad cameras. They are, you know, you could use them on fixed wing. None of these I would be comfortable. Unless there's a bit of light around, I wouldn't use them on quads. I think, look, these night cameras have a specific use case, especially the black and white ones. Definitely more aimed at night use. There is also, and I'm just going to quickly show you this, which these guys have reached out to me and have something really cool, right? And I'm going to be having a chat with these and taking a look at this. There is this mixed thermal FPV solution from Enel IR Cam. And these guys have a FPV camera solution, thermal. I'm only comparing to the night cameras. I'm not comparing to standard cameras. It'll go on forever, that video. It's becoming more and more difficult now because it's like swapping boards, swapping cameras, swapping. It's becoming a long old video as it is. But these guys have this, which is incredibly interesting because their drone camera system, though, mixes thermal with normal view. And we haven't seen anyone else do this yet, which you can see there. So it does picture-in-picture, adjustable parameters. You can change, you can mix it in and out. You can adjust the color palettes. And it's really cool. Really, really cool. Just to show you there, they're showing you there the thermal image as they're flying over. This is more like what you would get on, say, a DJI drone with the thermals. Really, really cool. I think you have to define affordable. These are sub $1,000. Look at that there, then they're turning on the thermal. Really quite cool. Really quite cool. Yeah, look, that's thermal. If you want thermal, you're going to be paying for thermal. So, yes, that's the issue with thermal. Right, before I get onto some questions and then Bambu, we're going to talk about just some new stuff I've seen this week. A couple of interesting things. Oddity RC is one, and I'm going to put a proviso up on this one. For those who haven't seen, Oddity RC have a new F405 stack that is available for $34. And I ain't talking about a flight controller, we're talking stack. Now, before I say move forward, just to be clear, it does not have, as I understand it, official targets from Betaflight or AM32. Whilst it is running Betaflight and AM32, it currently does not have official targets. I think they are talking with the programs to try and get official targets. However, today, it isn't an official target product. But that pricing is incredibly aggressive. Incredibly aggressive for an F405. It's the ICM 42688P, has the analog OSD chip, 16 meg of black box storage, 5 UARTs, a 2 amp 5 volt and a 9 volt back, TVS diode on board, 3 to 6S. Just insane. Insane money. Now they have offered to send me one, which I'm going to say yes to, but I'm just a bit dubious over the firmware situation at the moment. But yes, man, is that interesting. Incredibly cheap. 40 amp ESC. Just wow. Wow, wow, wow. $34. 99. Just crazy. Just crazy. Newbie Drone also have a couple of new things. They have a new Hummingbird F305F722 flight controller, which they've released. They've emailed me this week and said they've got some new stuff coming, which is quite interesting. And they also have a new little drone, the Hummingbird Vision 4, as well, which is quite interesting. Up to 400 milliwatt max RF power. Definitely a nice little whoop. Quite cool indeed. And I also just want to give a quick... Actually, let me get myself ready. Where's the Stack version 5? Why are SpeedyBee hiding stuff on their websites? Can't find anything. Right. And further to my video on the SpeedyBee F405 version 5 stack, I just want to confirm something around activation. A lot of people seem to think I meant that you couldn't use this flight controller at all without activating. I don't think I worded it particularly well, but I didn't actually say that was the case. You do need to activate it to use it with the SpeedyBee app. You actually have to register and activate the SpeedyBee app to use the flight controller, but that is only to use it with the SpeedyBee app. You do not need to activate the flight controller to use it with Betaflight or the ESC firmware. It is only if you're using the SpeedyBee app do you need to actually activate the flight controller. Something else I was told this week as well, which is rather interesting, relating to this stack, an OX32. If you don't know, OX32 is the ESC firmware that they are shipping on this flight stack. It isn't running BL-Heli32. I'm trying to get down to where it is. It isn't running AM32. It is running this OX32 from Oxbot, which is this website here. And what I have been told this week is, get ready for the Spider-Man meme. Oxbot equals SpeedyBee equals RunCam. So, from what I have been told, Oxbot is actually SpeedyBee, which is actually RunCam. Now, we knew SpeedyBee and RunCam were the same company. However, I didn't know that this Oxbot is actually apparently SpeedyBee RunCam as well. So that is rather interesting and something we didn't know before. But just to be clear, when it comes to the activation, it is only to use it with the SpeedyBee app. It is not to use it with BL-Heli32 or the ESC firmware. I still don't like the fact that SpeedyBee want you to activate it to use their app, but I do just want to be crystal clear around that. Okay. Just catching up on the chat. If you guys have any questions, please put it in the doc now. Ha ha ha. R1M Dog 78. The Oxbot packaging is exactly the same as the SpeedyBee packaging. I suspected they were behind it. Ah, see, I didn't know that. Put the chat up. Makes you wonder what's the point. Any news with the ExpressRS scammer? No, I haven't heard any more, I'm afraid. Any of the devs, I don't know if you guys can give a comment. It would be good to have an update on the situation. What do you think of the Boya Magic microphones? Don't know. Don't use them. Oh, I did see this thing. Yeah. They offered me this to review and I turned it down because I turned down most stuff. Believe it or not, I do turn down most stuff. Let me give you some advice. When it comes to microphones, go and get yourself the DJI mics. Trust me. Just trust me. Go and get yourself the DJI mics. Have I seen the Mini 225? No. Who's the Mini 25 by? SpeedyBee. Ah, yes. Sorry. Yeah, I did see this thing. SpeedyBee are doing some interesting little stuff at the moment. The Mario 20. Yeah, there's a load of these little drones coming out. Tried the new MEPS Thunderstack. MEPS keep asking me to do reviews. The MEPS, I keep getting so many emails from them. It's crazy. Them and Temu. Honestly, Temu. Oh, Jesus wept. Temu. You wouldn't believe how many emails sometimes you get on. Can you look? Can you have a look at this carrot? Can you review this cup, please? The MEPS. Which one's this now? The injected molded frame. MEPS. MEPS. Aerocore and Thunderstack. So this is the MEPS Aerocore. I can see some cost cutting on it already. Don't know if there's wires. You can't see because they could be capped. But top mount, so there's no castellation. Let's go. So you're talking top mounted pads only. Okay. Well, castellation would be pointless in that regard. I hope they're wired to stop the pads ripping off. Okay, I know this is renders, so I'm just having a look. F722, dual backs. I can see we've got dual backs. We've got a Wimbond chip. Okay. Looks all right. And did you say there's another stack? So where do they have their stacks? Is it Thunder, did you say? MEPS motors are okay. Interesting. $10, $12. Just the Thunder. I can't see Thunder. The car content, yeah, when I get time. I just haven't had time. They're okay if you don't crash them. Thunder Titan, to be exact. Okay. Thunder Titan. Sorry, no results. They don't seem to have a stack section. And I'm clicking on flight controllers and it's coming up with motors. I'm assuming it's this then. Looks similar. Maps King. What are Maps King like? Here's a question. What are Maps King like? I've never dealt with them, never tried a product. After all of the stuff I heard, I've stayed clear, basically. 60 grade aluminium, okay. Worse than CADEX. Main lead pads on the ESC are way too close. Yeah, we had that problem on the Lucid a little bit as well. Andy, was it a short? As I say, if it's a short, you'd lost out on about 10p then. But that's not very funny. Two of their ESCs are also decent. Like, I have dubious thoughts. Meps have a history of stealing content. Interesting. Well, they better not fucking steal mine. Remember maps. Yes. Right, if you've got any questions, put them down below. The next thing I want to talk about, and I want to have 10 minutes on this. For those who are into 3D printing, Bambu have released the new P2S, an upgraded version of the P1S, which in many ways wipes the floor with the X1 Carbon. And whilst it isn't designed to be a direct replacement for the X1 Carbon, what this now is one of the no-brainer choices when it comes to buying a 3D printer today. On this channel, I am a huge fan of the P1S. It has been a massively recommended printer in my world. It's done incredibly well. It's been a no-brainer recommendation, and the P2S takes that to the next level, not only on the pricing that they're giving this away for, but also the new features that they've added on it as well. It is still in many ways what we had in the P1S, same size chassis, same size bed, same overall footprint, plastic sides, glass door, No bells and whistles externally. However, Bambu have upgraded the external screen. You've now got the 5-inch colour touchscreen. It is not the same screen from the X1 or the H2D. It's a 5-inch. It's a lower resolution screen than you get on even the X1 Carbon. It's 480p instead of 720p. However, it's now a 5-inch touchscreen, and it is based on their new version 2 OS as well. It now has their new Dynasense extruder, which uses a brushless motor rather than a stepper motor. It now has the proper sensing as well. It uses that load sensor as part of the hot end to be able to eddy current sensor, to be able to measure how much is moving through and able to calibrate the prints. It has all new microcontrollers and AI sensing as well, and it has an NPU on board, and it has a whole new cooling system. Now, there are a couple of little changes. Instead of it having carbon, it now has steel rods, but overall, it is a major step forward over what we had in the P1S, and the price of this printer is just incredible. In the UK, this printer with the combo is $699. In the US, and now obviously the US has taxes, so it's always a bit more complicated. However, in the US, with the combo, oh, they haven't got the pricing up. It's not available yet in the US. When is it going to be available in the US? I've only got UK pricing. I think it's like $720. I think it is in the US. $699 in the UK. Incredible value with the AMS 2 as well. It really is amazing what Bambu are delivering here. And it really now sets things into 3 categories. It's, for me, for 3D printers, my recommendations are as follows. A1 Mini, P2S, or H2D. It's really that simple. When I'm making a video on this, and really I'm going to say, if you don't need engineering filaments, and this can do engineering out the door. But if you don't need engineering and an enclosure, you don't need to do ABS, and you only want to do smallish prints, TPU, get the A1 Mini. I'm not a big fan of recommending the A1. I think if you're going to step up in size, go to the P1S, P2S. Don't go for the A1. Just go A1 Mini, P2S, and then step up to the H2D if you want dual, or the H2 if you don't. You can get the P2S for $479 without the AMS. So if you want to step up from the A1, I would go to the P2S without the AMS if you couldn't afford it with the AMS. Honestly, I would just go that route, because you can always then buy the AMS later, which is a no-brainer as well. Really, really, what an option. And look, 3D printers are complicated right now because there are other products hitting the market that are incredibly interesting. There is no question the U1 from Snapmaker is not interesting. There is an incredible amount of people waiting for this printer. But here's the problem. We're seeing a few reviews come up on this where they're having issues. One of the guys got a review sample and one of the wires was cut in the tool head. One of the tool heads. He also had some calibration issues, but look, they're still early days. But here's the next problem. They have so oversold this printer, you won't be able to even get this until April. And anyway, today, even if you wanted to go and buy a U1, you can't even get it until April. This printer is vaporware at this point in time. And I'm not saying it isn't interesting for the money, because it is. But it is too early for anyone to understand the true nature of this printer yet. It's just way too early. We just need to wait and see what happens with it. It needs a year before we can sit here and say, oh, it's worthy of a trial. The great thing with Bambu now is we know where they're at. They have a proven history of delivering on their products. Truth is, with Snapmaker, trust me, I've got a few of their products. Their hardware has been great. Their software has been absolute garbage. This is a departure from that, and even this hardware is gonna take some tweaking. It's not clear yet. But look, I think if you're interested in a printer, I think the no-brainer is the P2S. The printer on its own is just crazy. $479. Honestly, just utter crazy. I honestly wish I could sit here and say to you, you should consider the Core 1, but this pricing is just difficult to recommend. I would love to try a Core 1. Genuinely, I would love to try this printer. I keep saying this. I think it's a great looking machine as well. There is a place in my heart for Prusa, especially with my Mark 3S, because that was the first printer which I said was an appliance. But that pricing is challenging. Bambu are stealing the market, and look, if Snapmaker can deliver on this, then they are going to stir shit up. There's no question about that. They are absolutely going to stick it to some people. And everyone's going, and this is making me laugh, because everyone's going, oh, it's going to kill Bambu. Bambu aren't the problem. It's Creality and Prusa who need to be worried. It's Creality and Prusa. I wonder how long before Creality release something like this. It won't work properly, but how long before Creality release something like this? Got the P2S in August. Yeah, it's always tough. But look, what I would say is this. Your P2S is still a phenomenal printer, and it's just as phenomenal today as it was. There is always going to be this, what comes next? I didn't even know the P2S was coming. So, but it's Creality in the others. Look, Bambu are fine. Look, if anyone thinks someone could just walk in and dethrone what they've built over 3 years, 4 years, it's no, it doesn't. They don't have Ethernet ports. Only the Pro models have an Ethernet port. It has USB for printing directly on the Bambu, but no Ethernet port. Only the Pro models from Bambu have an Ethernet port. So you still have to use Wi-Fi. Or you can use USB. You can print directly via USB still on the new models. You don't have to send it to the Bambu cloud. You don't have to do it that way. Yeah, USB is fine. So there's a lot of nonsense around Bambu. People say it has to be online. It doesn't fucking have to be online. It's the same noise around Bambu as it is DJI. The cloud service is fine. I love the cloud service. If you don't want your prints going up, then use the USB port. It's your choice. It really is your choice. They give you convenience, but if you don't want the convenience, do it this way. They also have LAN mode. They also have LAN mode available as well. So, offline mode. They do have an offline mode. Yes, you lose some of the functionality, but that is what it is. Yeah, look, we live in a connected world. I am less worried about products being connected today than I ever have been. If I need to print something completely offline, then I'll just do it via USB or use a printer that's completely offline. Like a Mark 3S. If I really wanted, you know, if you're doing things... Look, Are there companies that offer better solutions for certain situations? Yes. Bambu do. They have their Pro range of printers, which are completely offline. Something I will say here, I saw this the other day. Right. Let me find this on YouTube. This guy did a teardown. P2S teardown. He does a teardown of all the 3D printers. Vector 3D.
Why?
Right. Great channel. I ain't being funny. No one is paying the right price for these products. Wait, when he shows how many components there are, where is it? He puts it back together. There's a point where he shows all the components in the printer. There are nearly thousands of components in these printers. It is insane. You ain't paying enough for these printers. Honestly, no one is paying enough for these products. When you look and tear them down, there is literally 1,000 comments. Thomas Slanders, which one is his? Is his which one I think it is?
Is the overwhelming anxiety of realizing that you've got to somehow work out.
Yeah, I saw his. The only complaint, look, Thomas has always been a Prusa guy. And what I would say is, he mentioned some things in his review which I don't think are strictly true. Not about the printer, about problems with the P1S and other printers. He says things like, people have said they've had this and people have said they had that. And I can't remember, there was 3 things he said which I sort of went, that's not common. I've barely heard that. I cruise around all the forums and I don't see that. You know, if he'd have said, the A1 Mini had a bunch of problems with the bed cable, that's absolutely correct. He said something on the P1S and I was like, what? I've never even heard of that problem before. It was a great video, but I still detect just something from him against Bambu. He definitely he was a Prusa guy and he definitely has something. Because remember, he put out something that wasn't factually true about the review terms. I will add, it wasn't 100% correct. But he definitely did a great review on it. But there was just a couple of things he said and I was like, what? Sorry? I tell you one thing that he mentioned. He mentioned this printer gave him the worst bad throat whilst printing due to the way the air system works than any other printer. And I'm just sitting here going, really? So are we saying you wouldn't have got that with an open frame, non-enclosed printer? Would you have not had... What are you going to say about the Snapmaker that doesn't even have a lid? There's like a couple of little things you just go, is it though? Was it though? You know, there is some criticism on this printer that it doesn't filter the air that's in Ender 2. Yeah, exactly. That it doesn't filter the air leaving the cavity. It has a carbon filter, but that carbon filter is used when it circulates the air internally. There's no external air vent on this printer. Okay? But there isn't an external air vent on the P1S either. So I'm a bit like, okay? Yeah, just it's like a couple of weird little comments I just felt were like poking. It's like he wants to like it, but he can't not say something bad. Does the P1S vent externally? I can't remember. Mine's pointing at the wall. It's got fair flow, but does it vent externally? I can't remember. Does it vent externally, or does it only flush inside? I can't look at the back of the printers to tell. I'd actually have to have a look at my review to see what I said was on the back. Does the P1S vent externally? I can't remember. The filter is towards the outside. Yeah, but does it actually vent external or does it only circulate the internal air? I can't actually remember. I'll have to check that before I do the review. I didn't think it vented externally. Can't remember. I can't remember. Oh, no, it must. Yeah, no, it must vent externally. It must, because there's a big fan on the back. You look on here. Ta-ta! I don't think that's the board cooling fan. That is the board cooling this side. That must be the exhaust vent. I can't remember off the top of my head. Okay, so this will filter the air externally. So that in some ways is a different step. What I did find funny in his review is he drilled a hole in the back of the printer, which was quite funny. I did enjoy that. Yeah, that's where the filter is. I'm trying to remember. The problem is too many printers. I'd have to double check that. That is something we will mention then in the video specifically. I did laugh because he did bore a hole through the back of it. Which, okay, I get is a downside. But when you say this is the worst I've ever experienced, I'm like, well, why is it so bad on that versus another printer? There are loads of printers that don't have filters at all. So it's just like, just, you sort of, so, you know, if you were printing, I don't know, it just seems a bit of an odd comment to me. You know. But look, P1S looks phenomenal. It really does. Right, guys. Now we're going to have question time. Please do put any questions in the chat. I'm just going to catch up on the super chats. And there we go. We're caught up on the super chats. Thank you for that. They expect to make money on the back of filaments. Very good point. They do make a lot of money on the back of filaments. It's just incredible how many parts are in these 3D printers. Oh. Just crazy, crazy, crazy. Now, there was something I was going to talk about further up. Someone said, "Hi Ian, I noticed something in Danny McGee's most recent YouTube video where he loses his video feed when flying long range. Danny was using the DJI Goggles 3 with the FPV RC3. I thought that if you lose video feed that you also lose control with that setup. In the video, Danny was able to put his drone into acro mode and punch up while the video feed was gone. Can you explain how this was possible?" So, there's a difference between losing video feed and link completely dropping. Remember, the remote communicates with the goggles, which communicate with the drone. Video feed is coming back. Telemetry link is going up. It is possible for the telemetry link to keep going up when the video link is below the minimum level coming down. You can have this very narrow window, and it is very narrow, of being able to still retain control without having video. But it is a very narrow window on DJI, and it is not something I would trust in everyday use. So that is how it's possible. Because you can have the video link still receiving, but it's below the cliff. Remember, digital still has a cliff that it goes over before it pushes up. So that is a possibility. I would absolutely not, though, trust that you can do it every time. And again, I fundamentally don't recommend anyone uses the DJI FPV remote system. I personally recommend that you still use your own system to retain control just in case. Ah, Hockey Rounds, thank you for the $2 super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you. Much love from Brighton, Michigan, UK. Thank you for that. Thank you, Jake. Anything to know about the performance of OX32? I haven't flown it yet. The weather's turned during the UK. Weather this week's been shite, especially this weekend. I don't know if anyone else in the UK has been absolutely shite this week, especially the weekend. And it's not looking like a good week coming up. Just Goggles 3 plus 04 setup, lowering the power, for example, 200 milliwatts. Is Goggles 3 blasting in my head limited? Okay, Goggles output is complicated. It does mirror the output of the VTX. It does change with the output of the VTX as well, but I can't tell you what the transmitting power of the goggles is. I wouldn't even say for sure the goggles transmit at maximum power like the VTX does. What I can tell you is it does follow it as you adjust the RF power. It does stagger. So it will, if you reduce the RF power, it will reduce on the goggles side as well. It does mirror the changes somewhat. But it is a different kind of uplink. It's even different to CADEX. CADEX use a 10 megahertz carrier uplink on Avatar HD. DJI use multiple smaller carriers that are actually FHSS. But that's how DJI can legally go to 36 dBm. Ben, let us know how you get on. I think you'll be fine. I'm not hearing any bad things. Don't know how many people actually have the stack, but I'm not hearing any bad things. If you do, let me know. But then again, you're likely to set it on fire before you fly, or at least after the first flight, simply as a result of building a new drone is still always a challenge, especially your first one. So take it slowly, because look, don't get disheartened if you set it on fire, it sets on fire, or it sets something else on fire. That's pretty normal. Welcome to FPV. Yeah, unfortunately, fire seems to be the go-to. For those who haven't seen, I also have, I am wearing, ooh, let me, I'm trying to find the thing I want to move. 1 second. For those who can see, I'm wearing the latest new Fly Tribe t-shirt. I like this one. Halloween edition. I'm going to do a video this week on the new Fly Tribe magazine. We're going to have a look through it. Is the new SpeedyBee AIO really new? I don't know. The truth is SpeedyBee do lots of sort of recirculation. They have loads of stacks. They're constantly changing stuff. SpeedyBee. Chiller question. Do we notice in 2025 the difference in ESC firmware? A little, but it is all pretty settled. AM32 is getting better. It feels less raw to most people now. I think they're all good. Truth is, there's no bad. There really just isn't bad. Right, guys. we are going to wrap this one up there. I want to say a big thank you for spending some time with me tonight. We will be watching the CADEX launch tomorrow. I will be watching it myself. Congratulations to everyone who has been sent the kit. Let me know how you get on. We're going to finish up with the final super chat from Faber for €5.99. Thank you very much for that. Is it worth the gain in range and the work to do? Change both antennas on the goggles too, the ones on top plus the ones inside. Answer to that is plug and play antennas on top. I have these, which were marginally better. The British Drone Industries, these are the BDI ones. They are 10 dB patch antennas. I would not recommend messing with the antennas inside. If you want to try something like the BDI patches. True RC also have patches as well. There is no out and out huge benefit to external antennas. In my experience, it's marginal unless you're going the full Wes Varty, where you put 2 plates on the goggles and then you can really start to see the difference. Last question from Ryan. When do we think Walksdale Moonlight version 2? Who knows? Who knows? Again, another thing from CADEX that hasn't arrived. That's it from me. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. Back again, same time, same place next week. Looking for the end button, and I will speak to you soon.